Hi there, welcome to Nepi Invest and welcome to the final day of January. It is Saturday the 31st. Time is currently 9:27 a.m. I can't believe it. Can't believe that we've already gone through 1 month of the year. It's amazing. Anyway, already, even though it's fairly early for many people, I know a lot of people who wouldn't be even up yet, it has been an astonishing, intriguing, amazing start to the day. And I'll just go through my morning, which has included a black swan event. And you might be thinking, I'm talking about commodities, in particular silver, down a lot. But no, personally, I had a black swan event, which I'll talk about in a second. What I'll do first is I'll go through my morning, which include the black swan event. Okay, so typically I get up between about 4 and 5:30 a.m. And the first thing I always do is I play Wordle just to get my mind going. And then I have a look at what happened on markets overnight. So we're talking about Wall Street. And then I have a look at commodities, crypto maybe, Aussie dollar, those sort of things. I go through that process fairly quickly. And I'm saying maybe 20 seconds. It takes me 20 seconds to have a look. I also have a look at the best and worst performing companies on Wall Street. For instance, yesterday, I saw that Microsoft was down 10%, but Meta was up 10%. So obviously, both of those companies released quarterly results, and the market reacted accordingly. But the thing that really piqued my interest, and for the very first time since I started this particular morning habit, ritual, I suppose you could say, first time I've actually seen something and I had to go back to it going and thinking, is that real? Silver down 30%. Yes, I was already awake, but this really awakened me. Seeing a commodity down 30% really piqued my interest. Came to my computer, and then I just had to have a look to see what's been happening during the day. A lot of interesting things have been happening, I suppose, particularly when it comes to commodities. And the thought that really came to my mind, is this a trend killer event for a commodity? I've never really thought that could happen to commodities, but maybe this is the case. Anyway, so typically after I've done all that sort of thing, I go for a walk about 6 a.m., typically at least a 2-hour walk, maybe a 3-hour run, those sort of things, but always between 2 and 3 hours. This morning, I just went for a 2K run, just a 2K run, and then like a 1 hour walk, no, 1.5 hour walk. So 2K run and about a 10K walk. And on my walk, there was a nice little sunrise. And then I saw some black swans sleeping, sort of being enveloped by golden orange sunrise. In fact, I'll show you the photo. This is the photo right here. Yeah, these are black swans sleeping. Yeah, black swans sleeping. And I had a black swan event. So for those who don't know anything about black swans or black swan events, it's a term, usually it's sort of an event, a situation that really can't be predicted. It just happens out of nowhere. And the whole reason it had this term was because humans didn't realize that black swans actually existed until about late 1690s, when one of the explorers got to West Australia and they saw some black swans, Swan River. I think it was in that sort of area, maybe. Anyway, so that's why it's called a black swan event, because black swans were not supposed to exist. And a black swan event is that sort of situation that shouldn't happen, or it very rarely happens, that sort of thing. So you can't predict black swan events. In this sort of situation, I couldn't predict this was going to happen, but I have seen these black swans almost every single day I go for a walk along this area. Funny enough, I did read about black swans once, and they're highly nomadic. They will just go where the conditions are best for them to survive. Anyway, that was my black swan event, and it sort of fits in with the theme of the day. If you want to call what happened with the silver overnight as a black swan event, silver down 31.37%. Now, this is the daily chart of silver. I don't think we'll ever see this again. In fact, this is the worst day for silver in history. I thought maybe there was this crash in silver in the 1980s. Yeah, the famous Brothers crash of the 1980s. Maybe they were trying to corner the market or something like that, because that has been, history has shown that people will try to corner a market when it comes to commodity. This definitely happened in the early 1900s, late 1890s with some sort of commodity. I forget exactly what, and it failed spectacularly. I'm not sure if the silver chart goes that far back. In fact, we'll have a look at the weekly chart just to see if it does. Oh, look at that. Look at that rise in silver back. Yeah, so look at this. This is just a weekly chart. That does look like someone's trying to corner the market. And then silver dropped 14%, 16%, 20%, and 20% in 4 consecutive weeks. And whenever I see this sort of chart, I do get nervous. But you can see the massive run-up in silver. In fact, silver went from $8 to $40, five-fold increase in silver over a short period of time in the late 1970s, early 1980s. I don't know much about this particular Hunt Brothers crash, what caused it. I'm just going to assume they were trying to corner the market. But we've never seen this intraday drop in silver until now, 30%. Now, I was sort of hinting at maybe this happening. Well, maybe not this, but let's go to the end of the chart. There we go. There we go. So this time, maybe it wasn't this time last week. It could have been maybe on Monday. Let's have a look. Yeah, it was either Monday or Tuesday. I was getting a little bit more nervous, which is not the right term, but I was becoming more aware of a little bit of an increase in volatility in silver. Silver went up on Monday by 13.98%. That was sort of the first hint. Then the next day, there was a lot of volatility. I think there was a range in price of silver of maybe 10%. It was down 8.27% the next day. And then we saw a 2-day little bit of a rally. And I was thinking, I might have been wrong because I took profits on the Tuesday, either Monday or Tuesday. I sold out of 75% of my silver holdings just because of what I was seeing. And I thought this particular run-up in silver was just too much. It was just too much. And eventually, we're going to see a pullback. I did not expect a 30% drop in silver. Did not expect it at all. I don't know how you can expect it. I had a look at the 1-minute chart this morning, and I came to my computer round about here. So near the bottom. So yeah, about 5:20, 5:30. And there was a massive volume spike at 4:24. The previous minute, silver went up 4% in 1 minute. But previous to that, silver price went down 2.5% in the minute. So a lot of volatility in silver. I thought I'd found a bottom. That was sort of signaling the bottom, that really big increase in volume to about $76. And then I thought we had found a bottom. I think this is wrong. It says down 31.37%. But if you have a look at the 1-minute chart, and the price is $78. If you have a look at the 1-minute chart, the price of silver right now is about 85. I'm not sure why it said 78. Yeah, so there's something wrong about that. But silver is now 78. So it has bounced. Price 85, low 74. So it has bounced over 10% from the lows. So yeah, don't know what's happening with TradingView there. Anyway, so really interesting morning when it comes to silver. I had a look to see why. There was a nice little Reddit post, investing for beginners. Silver just crashed today. Here's what actually happened. No conspiracy. Insanely overextended. And that's probably the first point. Overextended is a good way to say it. It was getting frothy, getting really frothy. And this really mirrors what I've seen in the past, a really similar pattern and a really good analogous, and whatever you want to call it. I would go back to DroneShield. I saw the same thing with DroneShield. And there were experts saying to hang firm with DroneShield holding. This is going back to July 2024. I was trading DroneShield at the time, and I just saw accelerating, share price accelerating. And we do know that bubbles, when it comes to bubbles, and I would say this was a very niche bubble when it comes to DroneShield. And I'll probably say the same thing about silver. This was a very niche bubble, just maybe not in silver, maybe some other commodities as well. But when we see the top of a bubble, usually the price accelerates. And we saw this with DroneShield. It just accelerated. In fact, the day before it popped, it gapped up and the price of DroneShield went up 11%. And that was telling me a lot of FOMO, and that was driving the share price up. And I got out. It was just luck I got out the day before the share price dropped 22.3%. And that was the end. That was the end of the uptrend for that period of time. And I would classify that as a trend killer event for an individual company. And the question I have now with silver, is this a trend killer event? Is this a trend killer event? Can we apply the same thing to a commodity? I've never thought about that. I'm not sure. Interesting enough, if you have a look at gold, by the way, it's still an uptrend, a well-defined uptrend. In fact, gold has bounced off the 25-day moving average. It just shows you, even with gold, the run it has gone on in the last few weeks. It's at the 25-day moving average. Yeah. So anyway, gold still looks okay, but I might be selling out of some of my gold stocks. For instance, Meeka fell through my sell price yesterday, but bounced up. This should go. I would say Meeka will drop below 20 cents on Monday. I would not be shocked. In fact, I expect it. Anyway, so we're starting to see a bit of selling in some of the commodities, and I would expect, particularly for those who are holding a lot of commodities, gold, silver, copper, those sort of companies, PGs, they're going to see their portfolio, I wouldn't say wiped out, but you're going to see a really bad red day. Anyway, so that's my morning filled with black swan events, although I don't think silver could be considered a black swan. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with one of your most recent comments. So this is an answer and reply video, which I'm not even sure I've mentioned. Happy now, 9 hours ago. So this was about midnight. So I was asleep at this point. Funny enough, when it comes to sleep, I don't like sleeping. In fact, if I had a choice between never sleeping again and sleeping 8 hours a day or 8 hours a day, I would choose a former. The only reason I sleep is because I have to. Your body needs sleep. I understand your body; it's essential for your body and for your mind, and that's the only reason I sleep. And interesting enough, I have no problem sleeping. I don't have any insomnia. The only times I have trouble sleeping is when I'm too excited, like just before a big trip. I just too excited to sleep. But otherwise, typically when I get into bed, put my head on the pillow, I fall asleep within a minute, and I have no problem sleeping. And then when I wake up, I don't want to go back to sleep. I just wake up. So that's why I typically wake up fairly early. And yeah, so I just could do so much with those 7 hours of sleep I get a night. I could do so much. Anyway, that's just me. I think that's pretty weird. I do know a lot of people love sleeping. I don't know why. Anyway, happy now. 9 hours ago, so about midnight. Says today has taught me more clearer than ever on one thing for me, and that's mentality and perspective goes a long way in success or failure, or at least dealing with the situation. I believe, I do believe in that. Something you responded to me back in a previous video about MTM, metallium, on how to deal with situations unemotionally, and that's a chart I haven't looked at for a while. Let's have a look at metallium. And probably I haven't looked at this for a while because it's probably not doing much. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be trading this. If I was trading this during this nice little run from about April through to September, October, I'd probably be out by now because there is no trend. There's no uptrend, no downtrend. Now, this is on the daily frame. If you look at the weekly frame, you might be saying it's still an uptrend, which is an argument, but I'd be trading this more on the daily frame. And I would expect the price of this one to drop a fair bit. I expect a bloodbath on Monday. Anyway, let's go back. On the biggest fall in gold in one day in its whole history, you have the view that it's happened before. Well, that's before this really big drop in gold. Now, I'm not sure if this was the biggest drop in gold. I'm assuming it probably is. Yeah, probably is. But let's have a look. Gold down 9%. I mean, we've had these drops before, but not this big. Down 5%, down 4.4%. I'm going to have a quick look to see. Down, no. It just becomes just having a quick look at big down days. Here's one big one. 3rd of February 2023. No, that's not that down that much. So we need to see a bigger drop. No, there's nothing here. Oh, there's a couple of big dropping days here. I would assume that there's a big down day here. Well, here we go. Oh, no, even that 5.72%. I'm wondering if the really big down day would be somewhere here after the really big run up. But even there, this is back in 2011, we don't see any really big down days. Quite a few down days, but not big down days like we saw today. And I'm seeing a lot of down 5% sort of days. Here's one, maybe this one's big. Down 8.68%. This was on the 15th of April, 2013. And this was 2 big down days, down 5% and down 8.7%. And that was in a downtrend, however. So I'm not seeing another big down day. No, not quite big. Anyway, so let's go back to this comment. This could be the biggest down day or drop in gold in one day in its whole history. Anyway, you have the view that it's happened before. Well, if it's the biggest drop in history, it's never happened before. And to essentially deal with it, yet people have suicided in the world over what's occurred on this plunge alone and have clearly not dealt with it as well. Like when crypto dumped a few months back, I still have to work on this to get to the level of mentality you are for, that's for sure. Thanks for another video. People have suicide. Really? That's my thought right now is really, if people are committing suicide just because what's happened with gold, risk management needs to be taught more. They're not, risk management needs to be taught more. If you can't handle what's happened with gold and commodities over the next few days and what's happened, then you have to do more with risk management. And I wrote back just after I woke up, silver down 30%. This is unprecedented. I've never seen this before. And then Happy Now also responded. I just look at two of my work colleagues, and if they were feeling bad with what they were yesterday, I would hate to see what they are feeling like now this morning. They thought making money was so easy, just buy gold and silver, etc., every day, up, up, up. They leverage their spare money from their mortgage. Again, risk management. Oh, this is probably a sign of a bubble. That is probably a sign of a bubble. People leveraging up to buy more and more is actually a sign of a bubble, I would assume. Although I've not done research on it in terms of what are the not definitions, but signs of bubbles. But I do know one of the signs of bubble is the price of the thing that's in a bubble accelerates near the top. I think that's probably a truth. And also, I would assume that people, leveraging up is a sign of a bubble as well. Anyway, so they leverage their spare money from their mortgage. When that exhausted, credit card after pay, such as they're running down to local ABC bullion in the city at lunch as soon as we got paid our salary, it would jump $50 in a day, CCC. But despite their despair of questions like, do I tell the wife? What have I done? After I got to this video, the one question that dawned on me with these situations was after I saw how you dealt with it, that it was unlike you, that you didn't have an exit strategy of what to do next after they all bought their assets. Yeah, so what you just mentioned there is signs of a bubble. And that's probably another reason why, although when I look at gold, I don't really see signs of a bubble. With silver, I do see sort of a local bubble. Is that the best way to say it? Just a very short-term local bubble in need for a bit of a correction. With gold, it still looks okay right now. But if you can't deal with this sort of drop, then you need to do more risk management. And I doubt anyone is teaching risk management out there. Well, maybe they are, but I suppose another good way of saying it is if you can't deal with a down day in your portfolio, if you can't deal with that, maybe just buy ETFs. I don't know. Emotions plays a large part. And one of the reasons why you see these big down days is because people do rush. They do get that fear. They're in profit. They get the fear, got a rush for the doors, that sort of thing. And we all know if there's a rush for the doors, it does lead to pandemonium. In fact, a lot of crashes because everyone's rushing for the door. And unfortunately, the doors aren't big enough for everyone to get out. And that leads to these plunges in price and then people dying, unfortunately. Anyway, so let's go back 7 days ago to one of the first questions. So I do this in reverse usually do this in reverse chronological order. Go back 1 week ago. And this is one of the first times I've looked at your more recent question because it's relevant to what has happened this morning. Breaking par golf. So obviously a golf player. So my parents still live on the backside of a golf course. My sister and her husband and her two sons, my nephews, live 4 houses down. Or is it 5 houses down? And my youngest nephew loves golf. Every single day he plays golf and he's winning money. So he wins, seems like every single week he wins the tournament over there, $35 or something like that, which is pretty good for a 15-year-old, 15 or 16-year-old. Anyway, what do you think of Orcoda or Qoria? Qoria, 767,000 free cash flow for a $12 million market cap. And as soon as I saw this, I went, did I miss Orcoda's quarterly? Oh, that's terrible. Orcoda's quarterly. Let's have a look. We've got to sign in. Oh, use password? No, don't want to use a password. Ah, it's terrible. By the way, for those who did see my sign-in number, I don't have any money in. I don't trade through ComSec. I just use their platform. So you can come into this, or you need a pass, or the password, and you will never get the password. Anyway, Orcoda. So I was thinking, oh, I must have missed Orcoda's quarterly because I don't remember looking at it. And yeah, quarterly update on the 21st. And then I realized they don't issue Appendix 4C. This was just a quarterly update. I don't mind this sort of quarterly update from a company. And they used to be called Smart Trans or something. So I've been tracking this company with a ticker code ODA. That's why I've got a ticker code SMA on the July 13. So I've been tracking this company for over 10 years. And they stopped issuing Appendix 4Cs about a year and a half ago. So the ASX obviously told them you don't have to issue Appendix 4Cs anymore, but they have announced their quarterly results without actually a cash flow statement. So receipts of $6 million, up 17%, 1.14 million operating cash flow for the quarter, and free cash flow of 767. This is one of my favorite trading updates because I have relevant numbers here: operating cash flow, free cash flow, and recurring revenue. A lot of companies just issue we were EBITDA positive by 1.5 million, which some might say that's a proxy or operating cash flow proxy, but I do prefer operating cash flow, free cash flow. It's just like an Appendix 4C. Okay, so cash flow positive. Yeah, 2 thumbs up for that. Now, in saying all that, receipts $6 million, and if we go back having a look at my chart, $6 million receipts. This company was growing receipts really nicely in 2021, 2022, got to 6.8 million receipts, and then it started to drop. Got down to a low of 4.5 million receipts. So receipts haven't grown all that much recently, but it looks like they have controlled their costs. And the very fact they are operating cash flow, free cash flow positive for the quarter is interesting. I would like probably to see that continue. So do they release? Yeah, they did. So in October they did release a quarterly update as well. Let's see if they did the same thing here. Revenue 5.4, receipts 5.1, and they did not mention any sort of cash flow. They left that out. I wonder why they left that out. Obviously, they were not free cash flow and operating cash flow positive. So I would prefer the company to remain consistent in their metrics, and they're not. Right there. Did I miss one? So this mentions first quarter, October, and then third quarter, January. They're missing one quarter. It should be the second quarter, I think. So it does look like they do issue these quarterly updates. No, this is actually, they've only done this twice, so 2 times in a row. So anyway, so the company is small. Share price has pulled back a lot. There was a lot of interest in Orcoda not that long ago. I can't even tell you what they do. I used to be able to tell you, but I've forgotten about what they do. Integrated smart technology, transport logistics, and control. Yeah, transport logistics, that's right. Market cap of the company is 13.5 million, according to that market index. Now let's have a look at the chart. And if we go back to 2021, maybe 2022, this was, I wouldn't call it a market darling, but there was a lot of interest in this stock. Oh, yeah, actually 2023. Yeah, so the share price ran up a lot, went from about 6 cents all the way up to 34 cents. It was a nice little run, and then the share price has dropped from 34 cents all the way back down to 6 cents. And, ooh, look at that volume. Look at that nice volume coming in. You know, I do look at volume, so I missed this one. And the volume almost corresponds with the low, which was about 4.7 cents. So there has been a little bit of build-up in interest in Orcoda. And one of the reasons probably why is this quarterly update, released on the 21st, which I missed. By the way, it was not marked price sensitive. This is why I missed it. This should have been a price sensitive announcement. Tisk, whoever thought this was not price sensitive, and I blame Orcoda and the ASX. One of those should have marked this as price sensitive. That's why I missed it. And Orcoda should have said this is price sensitive. I'm pretty sure the onus initially is on the company, and then the ASX might override it. I could be wrong on that. So Orcoda should have marked this as price sensitive because, well, hello. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. And on that particular day, share price went up 29.17%. And there it is. It's price sensitive. Share price rose 29.177. But fun enough, the really big volume came in just before that. Volume precedes price. I'm starting to look at volume every day now, something I have not been doing. Unusual volume screener in market index. You actually have to click on all scans, unusual volume, and this would have popped up back then. I might have ignored it, but it would have popped up. Anyway, probably my biggest thing with Orcoda, it does look cheap if they maintain this sort of momentum in the business. That sort of free cash flow, operating cash flow, and this would be cheap if they can maintain that momentum. But again, if we have a look at the weekly chart, this company's share price has been all over the place the last, well, forever really, and it does look like it's near the bottom. So in a way, this could be a low risk buy, even at these prices, even though share price has rallied a fair bit recently. And I do like the volume. Funny enough, if you see the big volume back in August 2022, that preceded the massive rally in the share price. Big volume just before then. That's what I'm going to say about Orcoda. And thank you for that, because I had not even thought about Orcoda, had not even entered my mind, which is another benefit from doing these sort of videos and looking at your comments. Bradley McDonald says, BC8 chart looking real nice. Yeah, okay, there's a few actually questions about. Yeah, I'll talk about these quickly. BC8 chart looking really nice. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the share price of Black Cat Syndicate is going to drop a lot on Monday. I am going to call it. It did drop a lot on Friday, down 10.3%. Did they release something recently? So they must have released their quarterly recently. Well, they released it on 29th, on Thursday. I can't remember this one off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure, yeah, nice operating cash flow, but they do burn a fair bit of money in capital expenditure and investments. Maybe the investments was a one-off. Maybe that property plant equipment or that capital expenditure does seem a little bit elevated from the previous quarter. And maybe they just knew they were going to be bringing a lot of cash flow and they thought they might spend a little bit more money. Anyway, so it looks like it was an okay quarter for Black Cat Syndicate. Share price on that day did get to the highest. Yeah, it was up a little bit, and then the big drop yesterday, which is normal. Holistically, if you look at this chart over a long period of time, still looks pretty good. Weekly chart probably looks really good as well. And I first saw Black Cat Syndicate, I'll show you where. Yeah, it was around about middle of 2024, and the chart looked really good. So around about 30 cents, and I did not take a position. There's a lot of opportunities in the market, and chart looks pretty good right now, but I would expect the share price to drop 10% again, at least 10% on Monday, unless something different happens, which means the share price will get down to the 100-day moving average, sort of around there. The next question we have is from Vince Watt. Not sure about NiStar, but maybe you could do a study on Larvotto, LRV, on the ASX near Armidale, producing antimony and gold shortly, plus copper, rare earths near Mount Isa deposits. Be good to see what you think. 5,700 tonnes of antimony, 40,000 tonnes of gold production imminent. Now, the one thing I'm going to say about Larvotto is you probably know way more about this company than I do. And you've probably done way more research. I don't know much about Larvotto. And the one thing I'll just mention here is actually, funny enough, I do have antimony chart up here. So this is via Business Analytic. Antimony, I was looking at this the other day, stibnite, and for some reason it's still here. And this is the antimony chart, stibnite, over the last 7 years. So antimony prices have gone up significantly since the end of 2023. We have seen a little bit of pullback recently. So there's a lot of interest in antimony. We already have looked at gold chart. So a lot of momentum in these sort of commodities now, if you ignore the last 24 hours or so. If you ignore the last 24 hours, a lot of momentum in these sort of commodities. And the problem when it comes to mining is because there's a lot of momentum, you're going to see a lot, and we have seen a lot of antimony announcements, gold announcements. No one was mentioning antimony a few years ago. No one cared about antimony. Now it's just every dog and his miner is talking about antimony, and it's all based off supply demand. And so a lot of interest in antimony. So all these antimony projects, and eventually, if a lot of these projects get into production, there's going to be an oversupply of the commodity, and then the prices will drop. So mining is all about supply, demand. It's very cyclical. And the question becomes, what is a long-term thesis? Are we in a super cycle? Is this the start of a super cycle, that sort of thing? Or is what happened in the last 24 hours just a blip in the super cycle? Interesting podcast, which I did not listen to. I received. Funny enough, I do listen to the Motley Fool Money podcast on occasion. And the one they released yesterday, inflation surges, gold soars, Australian dollar soars. And I was just thinking, that's a sign of a topish when this sort of podcast talks about gold soaring, because they just refuse to talk about that sort of thing, because they are that sort of investor where they would very rarely buy any sort of commodity. So when they start talking about a commodity and gold soars, that could be the sign of a bit of a top. And then odd lots. Jeff Curry on the crazy surge in metals and why the super cycle has years to run. So the question becomes, are you a super cycle believer? Is this just a blip, or is this the top? Maybe a short, medium-term top. I have no idea. And I think that's important because Larvotto share price, by the way, I did see this comment earlier, and I did have a quick look at Larvotto. This company is down 8.77% on Friday. Operations and growth update. I did have a look at their Appendix 5B, but not the cash flow because they have no cash flow. I just wanted to have a look at where they are in regards to their projects, that sort of thing. So Hillgrove Antimony Gold Project, Mount Isa Project, exclusive option to acquire the historic Blockade Copper Mine, a rejection of a non-binding takeover bid by US Antimony Corporation. That's interesting. Fully funded for the restart of the Hillgrove Mine. That was interesting. Fully funded for the restart of Hillgrove Mine. I do like sounds of that sort of thing when a company is restarting a mine. That I just do like that. Anyway, so I haven't had a really in-depth close look at Larvotto, but what I do know is the share price of Larvotto more than likely won't exactly mirror the price of gold and antimony, but if we do see a significant drop in both of those commodities, you will see Larvotto Resources share price drop a lot as well. And the chart looks okay. The market cap of Larvotto is 797 million. So there is a fair bit of value already in it. I had a look at the recent chart of Larvotto. And so you can see a massive volume coming in 8th of May 2024. I like to do this on occasion. Just have a look at the history. And the share price at that point was 10 cents. Just have a look at what it's gone through. But funny enough, if I was trading this one back then, I would have got out probably somewhere in April, May 2025 because the trend had stopped. But the share price started to go up again back in October. So the one thing I would say is you're going to have way more conviction about this company than I would because I haven't done any research. And you probably could give me way more information. Way more information. And the last thing I'd say is, again, the share price more than likely will be significantly down on Monday because of what's happened on commodities on Friday night, our time, Saturday morning, our time. And are you able to handle it? And what conviction do you have on this company moving forward? And what's your conviction? What's your thoughts on the price of both of these moving forward as well? Because again, if antimony and gold prices come down a lot, Larvotto share price will come down a lot as well, which is one of the bad things about mining is most mining companies, if not all mining companies, are, I shouldn't say a slave to the commodity prices, but they are. They're price takers. They can't affect the price of the commodity they're selling. They are price takers. Oh, Bradley McDonald says it very succinctly and probably what I should have said. Can't be a trend killer when there's no trend killer. This is in regards to Qoria. So someone did say, why is Qoria not a trend killer event? And that's what I should have said. It can't be a trend killer event if there's no trend. Well, there was a downtrend, but a trend killer event is the share price moving the opposite direction of the trend. This was moving in the direction of a trend. I'll talk about Qoria a little bit more in the future. Had Qoria on the watch list, so when it saw it drop the other big day, I kept an eye on it, if it would rally back up in the afternoon. I bought it at 39 cents after I saw it do so. It did rally, but I'll talk about Qoria a little bit more later in the video. Daniel Johnson, any thoughts on CarbonXT? Seems a growth industry supported by USA government to clean up water supply and Celsius resources in the copper theme, or would you use an ETF like Wire to minimize risk but still keep on copper bandwagon? The last bit is easy. I would actually buy individual companies to maximize my returns. So you could minimize your risk, but with an ETF, it just sort of washes out any sort of good returns you're going to have. But if you're really keen on a thematic, and I'm not a thematic person, so this sort of copper thematic could play out in the long run, but I tend to prefer to buy the individual companies. That's just me. And Celsius, by the way, I did take a trading position in Celsius, and maybe I will sell out of this position. But the daily chart looks okay. And I like the volume, The other company is CarbonXT. I've been following this one for many years, and I've been waiting for a sign of a breakout, some sort of inflection point. They've not got there yet. Still haven't got there with their most recent Appendix 4C. Receipts 3.8 million, 72% increase on the same quarter of financial year 25. And a lot of times when you look at the highlights section in Appendix 4C or 5B, they're going to highlight the positives, the positive stuff. But if you go to the cash flow, so nice receipts, but they're still operating cash flow negative by a small amount. So this company is very close to an inflection point. In fact, looks like they were flat cash flow positive for the first quarter. So very close. They're not burning through a lot of cash. In fact, cash on hand rose, looks like, because they did an equity raising, but only 1.3 million. Also, I'd like to look at debt just to make sure they don't have too much debt. They do have $15 million of debt, which is a little bit of a red flag for me. 9.5% interest rate, pure asset management, by the way, which pops up a lot. They don't have any interest. So they have $15 million of debt with 9.5% interest or interest rate, but there's no interest. Maybe it's just new. Maybe they just got that debt, but they're not paying any interest. All right, so the main thing about Carbon CG is I want to see an increase in receipts. So let's have a look. I want to see momentum in the business is probably a good way to say it. I want to see momentum in the business. What they're doing is intriguing, as you mentioned, but I just need to see momentum in the business. And when I have a look, so I've been tracking this company since 2018, and I just don't see any momentum in the cash receipts just yet. I need to see that. In fact, I could do it right now. In video, I could do it right now and just show you what I mean. Put me up there. This is exactly what I do a lot of time. What I'm thinking of doing is getting ChatGPT or the other one, Gemini, what it's called, to help me with a program so I don't have to go through this little process. Make it, just put in like a tick code, and it would give me all this sort of data. But this is exactly what I do. Select data. Okay. And I'll put in CG1 just because I know who I'm looking at. So this is cash receipts history for carbon, and there's just no growth. It's just sideways. Some quarters are good, some quarters are bad. It's just not exactly what I'm looking for. So even though I think what they're doing is intriguing at this point in time. So yeah, clean tech's probably the best way to say it. Clean tech, yeah, I do like what they're doing. Wastewater treatment, air purification, I don't see any momentum in the business at this point in time. And I haven't had a look at the chart for a long time. And I think this one hasn't popped up. So I doubt the chart is looking crash hot. Although there is probably a lack of liquidity. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. Lack of liquidity recently. Share price has gone on a bit of a run. Got above 10 cents. So, but Probably the main thing I'm looking for is a bit of momentum in the business. I'm just not seeing it just yet. Kapow! Hi, Neppy. When you buy companies, I assume the ones that didn't do well and sold also had brilliant charts at the time, or do you just think it would go either way? What I typically want to do is it's all about risk. What's a risk return symmetry? So what you want to get into is where the symmetry lies towards the returns versus the risk. What's a good example of this? Let's have a look at Beach Energy. I do not have a position in this one. Yeah, Beach Energy. Yeah, Beach Energy. I was thinking of another company, but if we have a look at the weekly chart for Beach Energy, share price has been trading in a range for 6 years, and that range is between $1 and we'll say $2. So between $1 and $2. And the reason I'm talking about risk symmetry here is if you buy the share price, if you buy Beach Energy when the share price is closer to 1, then closer to 2, you have returns on your side. If you buy when the share price is closer to 2, you have risks on your side. There's more likelihood the share price will drop from $2. There's more likely the share price will rise from $1. It's not absolute, but you have to use risk returns in all your dealings or your analysis. So let's have a look at a brilliant chart. Let's do it right now. So what I'll do is have a look at a brilliant chart on the fly, and we'll go to one of my watch lists. And what's a company? All these companies are, not the. Oh, GWR. I did take a small position in VWR. So GWR Group. And the weekly chart looks pretty good. I like the big volume. The price of GWR Group is going to be highly correlated to TGN, Tungsten Mining. The chart of Tungsten Mining looks fantastic. In fact, it's accelerated higher. Oh, look at that weekly chart. Jeez. Daily chart for Tungsten looks really good as well. And the way I look at GWR is it's slowly grinding higher. It's been doing that for a while. Chart looks pretty good. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a pullback with this one. But the volume is increasing as well. So it's a brilliant looking chart. But if this goes against me, I will sell out. If the chart starts to look less brilliant, let's use an example. Let's use an example of something I've sold out recently. Not recently, but Superloop. For some reason, this came to my mind just now. Superloop, beautiful chart. There's me buying at 79.5 cents a few years ago. Beautiful chart from then on. And there's no reason to sell because everything's on your side. As the share price goes up and up and up, everything's on your side. And then we started to see a shift in structure. We started to see a shift in structure in August. It struggled to get higher, above 350, really struggled to get above 350. I put this line in as sort of a sell price. This would have been an orange line because I was trading at the time. If the share price fell below that, that would be really negative. And then all of a sudden, share price dropped below that. I think I sold out just before that because it does look like the structure was changing. And yeah, it's all about risk and rewards. Nothing's 100%. And when it came to Superloop, I just said get out because it's looking more risky now than there's more upside. Put it that way. There's less chance of good upside versus a risk of downside from here. That's a good way to say it. And I also do this with valuations of companies. For instance, Reece. This is another one. This is another really good one. So Reece, share price popped up February 2024. Share price popped up 18.3%. I noticed this pop up. I went, ooh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Nice results from the company or something. Share price popped up. I had a look at the valuation. I went, ooh, no. And the reason I looked at the valuation is if a company is trading on an elevated PE ratio, which Reece was at the point, I think the PE ratio was 50 or 60, there's much less upside. There's much less upside and there's significant downside. And that's exactly what we saw with Reece. Share price went from $29 and more than halved. But right now, it's completely opposite. I see more upside with Reece than downside. So valuation actually is important as well. So for me, it's all about potential upside versus potential downside. Suppose that's why I mentioned symmetry or symmetry, whatever. So I'm always looking for those sort of positions where there's good upside, and sometimes it just goes against you. So you're never going to get everything right. What's one that's gone against me? What's one? I'm trying to think of one that's gone against me. I can't remember. Let's move on. Oh, Ben Coleman says, what are your thoughts on EQR or EQ Resources, ticker EQR? Tungsten are breaking out, prices up. Just talking about tungsten. So tungsten mining, GWR, and I am trading EQR Resources. However, I did take a little bit off the table. And the main reason I took a little bit off the table is because there's a significant rally in the price of EQR Resources. Look at that massive volume as well. Price of tungsten, I'm not sure. It's really hard to track the price of tungsten. So let's have a look at business, whatever it's called. And I'm not sure. Look at this tungsten price. It takes a little bit of time. So yeah, so it had a really big rally, tungsten, in the previous, who knows how long this is, a few months at least. And that is why, and I might be running up again. In fact, one of these companies do release how much tungsten prices are rising each and every month or something like that. Anyway, so the reason I took a little bit off the table is because the share price had run up a significant amount, and I think it's just wise to take a little bit off the table because I could see it pulling back a fair bit. But yeah, the only reason I'm trading this is one of you mentioned it. In fact, it was, I'm pretty sure I'm going to respond to one of the questions here. Hachi, I'm pretty sure it was Hachi who mentioned EQR. I had a look at the chart and went, oh, yeah. So you do give me a lot of ideas. So just keep giving me ideas. Stonka Tonka, worth a relook at Pointerra. Quarter was deceptively positive. Seems SaaS revenue starting to stick rather than just project revenues. Number of coals in the fire exciting. I might have poo-pooed this one a little bit too much, I think. Poo-poo. It was actually, in terms of cash receipts and cash flow, it was good. They released it earlier than usual. They were operating cash flow positive, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they were operating cash flow positive. Receipts still low, but I did not have a look at the commentary. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But this is one case where I didn't have a look at the commentary. It says no. Here's one of my first problems. In the commentary, there's nothing about financials. It's just talking about what they're doing, talking about what they're doing, talking about what they're doing, talking about their market analysis, global TAM, regional SAM, regional SOM. And here we finally get to some numbers on page 6. I prefer the financial numbers to be the first thing they mention. That's just me. Receipts 2.6 million, operating cash flow, closing cash balance. Okay, I'm getting bored already. Here we finally get some commentary. Cash receipts. I haven't even seen them mention revenue just yet. Yes, a lot of times, one of the reasons I look at commentary is they will show you the revenue, and revenue can be significantly different than cash flow or receipts. And I'm trying to find SaaS numbers. They're really focusing on receipts, operating cash flow, and closing cash balance. I'm just trying to get a SaaS number. I just can't find it. Maybe I should just put in Control F. Here we go. Command F. SaaS. Okay. Yeah, I would have liked to see some SaaS numbers there, but I just don't see it. I'm just going to have to believe you. Seems SaaS revenue starting to stick. And that's one of my problems with 3D or Pointerra, 3DP, is their receipts and revenues can be quite lumpy at times. And they did talk about smoothing out the lumpishness quite a few years ago and really haven't seen it just yet. So I'm still a shareholder of Pointerra, by the way, still holding shares in Pointerra. but I'm less enthused about the company because we haven't really seen significant momentum in the company's financials just yet. Maybe it's going to happen, but haven't seen it just yet. 4 thumbs up for this one. Jane's Garden, really enjoy your investment videos analysis. They're very clear and accessible for ordinary investors. I've watched them several times and found them very insightful. Thank you very much. I'd love to hear your view on STX. Strike Energy, I believe they released their pennies 5B yesterday. I believe I had a quick look at it because they're in production. No, the 29th, so 2 days ago. I did have a look at it though. And let's go back to your question. The stock has been consolidating near the bottom for some time. Price 11.5 cents, revenue 72.7 million, up 59%, and the South Erregulla peak power plant now 80% complete. What's the outlook on the stock? Have a great Australian day. Okay. So again, this is sort of a situation where I don't know a lot about the company. So I'm assuming you know a lot because you're talking about the South Erregulla peaking power plant, 80% complete. And I'm assuming once this is complete, their cash receipts and revenue will go up. I have no idea how much they'll go up. Typically in these sort of companies, without knowing anything else, let's have a look at the highlight section. Progress to 72% complete as at 31st of December. So not quite 80% according to them. On track for completion 1st of October. Still 8-9 months away. And the one thing I like to look at for all these companies, production, blah, 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 is, of course, this. So receipts, 18 million. So this is a real company. Receipts, $18 million in receipts. Looks like that's fairly steady. This is one of those companies where my history with Strike is, what's a good word? It's sketchy, not sketchy, I don't know. I don't always put in the receipts. I missed last quarter because I missed most of Penny's 5B's last quarter. So receipts have been $18 million for, I would say, 6 consecutive quarters. So I'm assuming you're not going to see much change in receipts over the next few quarters until they get this power plant up and running. They are operating cash flow negative and they are burning through a lot of cash. So I'm assuming they're spending a lot of cash to put that power plant up into operations. So $60 million in property, plant, and equipment and oil and gas assets. So they do need a lot of money. Borrowings increasing, 28 million increase. A lot of cash on hand, $70 million of cash on hand, but they are burning through a fair bit of cash. They probably need it to finish the power plant. And how much debt? $108 million of debt. But they might be able to handle that once they once that power plant starts up. The other thing I like to look at is interest. So they're paying $4 million in interest. And if they weren't spending money on interest, this company would be operating cash flow positive. Anyway, so without knowing much about this power plant, how much extra supply, how much money they're going to get from it, I don't know. Hopefully you know. Again, this is a sort of company where my conviction is really low because I don't know anything about it. So I'm hoping your conviction is much higher than mine. So you could probably tell me more about this company than I could. And so let's have a look at the chart for this one. Now, if I start to see good things in the chart, however, by your commentary, it's not going to look good. And you're right, it does look like it's trying to consolidate. So you said for a few months, I think. For some time. You said it's for some time. And it's been going sideways for probably 5 months. Weekly chart. Ooh, weekly chart looks terrible. Got it to 50 cents not that long ago. Now, it did look at the share price looked like it was consolidating for a while back in 2024. In fact, for a whole year, it looked like it was going sideways. And then it moved back into a downtrend. But that's easy with these sort of situations. You think share price might go on a run, say back in January or this time last year, and then it did the complete opposite. So you might take a trading position and then sell out when the trade goes against you. In this sort of situation, if you're very confident in the future of this company, now is probably the best time to take a position. And this could prop out. This could pop up. But what would be the catalyst for it popping up? By the way, if you have a look at the volume, there was a subtle increase in volume when it got to the bottom, looks like, and then it started to move sideways. There's a subtle increase in volume at that point in time, very subtle. I can see it in the daily chart. You can see this big volume coming in July into August. Anyway, so for me personally, without knowing the company all too well, in fact, I know more about the company now just because of your comment, and the chart isn't filling me with any fuzzy feelings. The way I would play this is I'd be waiting for a breakout, and a good breakout price would be like 12.5 cents. And hopefully the breakout would be on good positive news. That's the best sort of breakout. Good positive news, momentum in the share price, and momentum in the company. Paul LY, can you please have a look at these stocks? STG, Straker, SLD, Saluda Medical, REH, Reece, which I've already looked at, and IRE, Iress. I would like to hear your opinion. Thank you. Well, I'm not going to look at it in depth. I'm not going to have an in-depth look at each company. Where's my pen? Or have a look at the chart. STG is Straker. Is it Straker? Yeah, it is Straker. It's a, what do you call it? A language, something to do with language and interpretation or something, translation. A provision of language and subscription services, firm offers translation of documents, websites, technical manuals, and e-commerce platforms. The one reason I know about this company is they were held by Balador Investments, and then they weren't spun out of that. They maintain a holding, but Straker listed at that point in time. Balador had a big holding in Straker. Then they listed. They maintained a bit of a holding, and that's the only reason I know Straker. I don't know if they release quarterlies. I can't remember Straker releasing quarterly. No, they don't. I sort of wish they do, because it'd give me more of a sort of a sense of how they're performing. And I presume they're not performing all that well, just based off the chart. Revenue, $19 million. Adjusted EBITDA positive, barely. And if you have a look at the chart, just not doing anything. In fact, the weekly chart is pretty ugly, but maybe near the bottom. Nice volume increase over the last 6 or 7 months. So that's Straker. Not much interest in Straker at this point in time. Saluda, I have no interest in Saluda, if that is Saluda. It is Saluda at this point in time. They recently listed, so it's a recent listing. It's a red flag. And they just released their Appendix 4C. I had a little bit of a look just after they listed, because I wanted to see if the company was profitable, because I'm more interested in IPOs or recent listings that are profitable and generating cash flow. But they just released their Appendix 4C. And the one thing I realized when I did a little bit of research, this company is burning through a lot of cash. And we got confirmation they are burning through a lot of cash. So they are a company, a real company with receipts, $20.9 million of receipts, but operating cash flow negative, got $27.4 million. In fact, their staff costs were more than their receipts. Imagine that, paying your staff more than the money you're giving in or receiving from selling your product. So this is a long way from me even having a closer look at the company, because they're burning through so much cash, which is sort of an obvious reason why they had to list. They wanted more capital. So they had to have a lot of money on hand. So they must have received $167 million for the listing. So they should have a lot of money, $151 million. Company has a market cap of, I'm assuming, 300 million, 311.25 million. So this company is well away from me having a closer look, unless they release something significant. And even though they have an EV of 160 million, if they keep burning through a lot of cash, that cash on hand is going to decrease and decrease, and the share price might decrease and decrease. And the chart looks horrendous as well, even though it's a very short period of time. We're talking about, that's a daily chart. They listed on the, what day was it? 5th of December, down on that day by a lot, and its share price just keeps on dropping. Reece and Iress. Reece, I am trading right now. This one is a quasi high quality company, and the main reason I bought into Reece is because I like the chart and I thought they were reasonably valued. So Reece, more high quality. You could even call this a long, oh no, I probably wouldn't be holding this for the long term. In fact, you can just see by the weekly chart here, this share price can go on big runs. So sentiment will drive the share price and valuation of this company to extreme levels, and it did that in 2024. Now it's time to think about buying Reece, in my opinion, if you think it's high quality and for a longer term. But I'd more likely be trading Reece. Share price, by the way, popped up on Thursday and is now at a 5-month high. And the other one was Iress. I would not classify Iress as high quality. This is more of a trading stock. And for me, yeah, no, not even think about trading this one. A weekly chart, ugh, that's an ugly weekly chart. In fact, this is a chart of a non-high quality company. Well, say if you have a look at this weekly chart, up until 2020, it was a chart of a high quality company. In fact, let me have a look. Yeah, quasi. We'll call it a quasi high quality company. But since then, no. I have no interest in Iress as a long term hold. So more of a trade. And at this point in time, it's untradeable. It's just no. If anything, there's a bit of a downtrend. Talking about high quality stocks, HBK Fortis. Do you think ALQ is a high quality stock? It's my safe pick for this year, and I think it can improve margins with its new smart labs, AI robotics, mining, exploration, environmental tailwinds, and more. I think if it pulls back after in the near term, it's a buy. And my pick stock for the year is ILT. Its Orient project has Australia's highest grade silver indium deposit. Indium used in data centers, screens, phones, and one of the rarest rare earths. Funny enough, rare earths are not rare. Commodity prices have been going up. Queensland government recently invested $8 million. Okay. ALQ, is this company high quality? I think this is another case of a quasi-high quality company. So let's have a look at what I would use to determine whether this company is high quality or not. And I do this for all companies. It's a very quick rough way to do it. So ALS, ticker code ALQ. Always get that mixed up. What I do is always have a look at revenue growth. So revenue growth, nice, but revenue growth is not the whole story because maybe shares on issue have increased significantly, which will dampen revenue per share growth. But revenue growth has been sort of, looks like it's accelerating as well, which is understandable. 15.9% over the last 3 years, 8.4% over the last 10 years. Earnings per share growth, quite lumpy, so probably some one-offs in there. Over the last 10 years, only 2.9%. Now, I probably would have said that this is more of a mining services company, but I probably put that in quotations. It's more than a mining services company, but mining services can be highly cyclical. So there is a chance that I would define this company along those lines, but maybe less cyclical. And I probably would not classify any strictly mining services company as high quality. Monadelphous was considered a high quality company back in the day. And let's have a look what happened when we have a bit of a downward swing in the mining cycle. If we have a look at the weekly chart, back in 2016, Monadelphous share price just collapsed. Well, between 2013 and 2016, share price of Monadelphous went from $28 down to $6. And the main reason behind that is it's a mining services company, and that was a downward surge in the mining cycle. And the low in share price of Monadelphous was late 2015, early 2016, which coincides with the bottom of the cycle. Well, lo and behold, the reason I talk about Monadelphous is back in 2011-12, this was all the rage. Oh, Monadelphous, what a great company, oh, blah, 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 blah. Buying Monadelphous at $28, what a great buy. And then it fell, what's that, 22, 70, 80%. Anyway, so Monadelphous I would always classify as a hot, by the way, the share price is now higher. And you can just see we're in a bit of a boom in the mining cycle, and the share price of Monadelphous has gone from 13 to 31. Just saying. So maybe you could classify ALS Limited in the same breath. But a lot of tailwinds behind the company right now. Margins, I would expect margins to be maybe a little bit more than a lot of mining services company. Gross margins 29.3%, operating at 16.2%. So that's actually okay. And return equity, 14.6%. Return invested capital, 8.7. That's sort of borderline. P ratio, 46.3. So a lot of growth has already been priced in. Now, you mentioned a lot of stuff that I don't know much about the company. Talking about smart labs, AI, robotics. That could be really beneficial for the company. But how beneficial? You also talked about tailwinds, and you're right. A lot of tailwinds right now, but I would expect the share price of mining services companies to drop a lot on Monday in line with the commodities. And environmental tailwinds, I think that's going to be relevant over the next decades, 50, 60, 70, 100 years. I think that's going to be tailwinds galore with environmental stuff. Okay, so I'd still classify ALS as a quasi high quality company, but I probably wouldn't own this for the long term. So let's have a look at the chart. First thing I always do is have a look at the weekly chart. And it does look like a quasi high quality company because you do see on occasion share price tumble a fair bit. In fact, the share price of ALS went from $13 all the way down to $3 during the downward cycle in the mining, and it's been going up ever since. So you play the cycle, but over time, the share price has gone up a fair bit, hasn't it? Share price is accelerating, going higher. It's gone from $12 to $24.60. It's more than doubled since the uptrend. And in fact, during the uptrend, really a nice little breakout occurred back in November 2023. Since then, there's been a few times when it looked a little bit weaker, but it's been going up nicely. So the chart looks good, but share price did fall back a fair bit. Didn't drop, but it pulled back from the highs on Friday. Big volume coming in. I would expect the share price of ALS to drop 5% on Friday, maybe even more. That's just a wild guess. ILT, let's have a look at the chart for ILT. Illinois Till Works, no, that's the wrong company or the wrong exchange. Iltani Resources. Market cap, there's no market cap here. Again, chart looks good, but again, I think this company's share price will drop a lot. It's gone from 72 cents to 54 cents in a fairly quick period of time. So I would imagine the share price going to drop 10% based off what they do here. Silver, well, it might drop even more than 10% based on what silver happened anyway. Just acronym, no more step one ads on YouTube. Is it still in business? I do get occasionally, because I do get texts from them. Yeah, step one, I got a text at 8:03 this morning. I'm getting a text from step one. Oh, so I don't delete them. I used to get, yes, I'm going back to November. I was getting texts from step one every few days, 15th of November, 17th of November, 19th of November, 22nd of November, 23 November, 23 November, 24th of November, 25 November, 25 November, 28th November, 3rd December, 6th December, 26th December, 1st of January, 24th of January, and then today. So you can just see the amount of text they're sending is decreasing. I also get emails, not a lot of emails either so they've really cut down on their marketing, looks like. Definitely still in business, but they've really cut down on the marketing just based off the lack of text we've been getting. So they're still in business, but let's have a look at the chart for step one. So share price dropped a lot recently, but what's happened since then? Nothing much. There it is, dropped a lot, 38% on the 4th of December. It's gone back to 25-day moving average, and I think this will go lower. You can see when they dropped a lot in August, share price rallied, hit the 25-day moving average, and that has been really acting as resistance moving forward. Well, has been acting as resistance all the way back. So there's no reason I would even be thinking about getting in step one unless you think this is high quality and this is great value. Maybe it is. Jane's Garden. Again, May. I don't know. May. I know the T code, but I'm trying to think of the company. May no, I don't know. May has seen a notable increase in trading volume following announcements of oil seeping at the surface. It could be considered for addition to the Specky watch list for further observation. I watched a really interesting documentary the other day on the oil explosion, the oil rig explosion, in 1988, the North Sea, the Piper Alpha, I think it was called. Piper Alpha. Now, when this exploded, I was too young to really, yeah, Piper Alpha. Yeah, it was a 3-episode documentary on what happened. Interesting. Anyway, so as soon as you said oil seepage, I sort of thought of that because, well, anyway, it's not really relevant right now. May, I'm trying, since it's, oh, it could be considered for addition to the Specky watch list for further observation. Yeah, and Sensei is right. No changes allowed. Not an edible watch list. It's a paper virtual portfolio to see how it does over the full 2026. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just a buy and hold and hope sort of strategy. Buy and cross your fingers. Oh, let's hope some of these companies do really well. Please, please, please. And that's what a buying and holding is. It's sort of hoping for the, wow, that's sort of a crude way to say it. Anyway, so let's have a look at May. I'm still trying to remember the company name for this one. May. I'm going to kick myself. Melbana. Now I know. Melbana. First thing, share price below 1 cent. I'm very hesitant to buy a company with a share price below 1 cent. We do get pip traders who like to buy and sell on a pip change. Let's have a look at the most recent Appendix Force 5B. Is this company? No, they're not. No, they're not. So I don't know anything about this company, Melbana. Look at the highlights section. Cash on hand, 4.38 million. Yeah, so nothing really. Reservoir was very productive, but no oil was recovered. Crude inventory was more than 36,600 barrels at period end. During a period, a total of 3,000. So this is in production, is it? I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing here. Amistad 2 was spud 8th of September and was originally planned to take about 3 weeks to drill. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to keep on continuing with Melbana. I have no idea. This is another case where I don't know anything about a company. You probably know way more about Melbana than I do. And massive volume coming in on the 5th of November, but the share price was down 53%. What happened on the 5th of November? Let's have a look. 5th of November, May, Amistad 2 well completed. So obviously the market didn't like that. And the share price has gone sideways since then, which could be a good sign, but I don't like the chart. I do like the increase in volume, but we saw an increase in volume back in August when the share price was higher, and the share price is below 1 cent. So this is not for me just because the chart still hasn't shown signs of absolute life just yet, although volume is. Volume is. So this could be a case of volume preceding price, but I need to see something more. This will be the case where I'm waiting for a catalyst to be released from the company. And again, I don't know anything about Melbana. And probably adding it to your watch list. Yeah, that could be a good thing. Okay, Rupert AU. Rupert AU, one for your specky list, West Wits Mining. I know West Wits Mining, not a lot. It is on a similar time frame to hit gold production as MKR, Manuka, which I am trading for now, but it hasn't run as hard, both of which seem to be where Meeka Metals was 12 months ago. And Meeka Metals has just gone into production. And we've finally seen how Meeka Metals is performing. And there's a chance I might be selling out of Meeka Metals. I might get a sell stop loss, my own personal stop loss. I've taken positions in both, but the chart imminent production of West Wits looks like the greater upside potential. Okay, so let's just compare. Well, let's have a look at Meeka Metals first. So, in fact, I took a position in Meeka Metals. The first main reason was the share price was going to break above 10 cents. I was confident in that. This is one case where I was confident in the share price doing something. So I got in 9.4 in expectation share price will get above 10 cents. And then I had a close look at the company and went, oh, they're close to production. Since then, the share price has gone up a fair bit, but the share price has pulled back significantly recently. I think a little bit over the top pullback. The volume has increased as well. I thought their Appendix 5B was okay. They released that on the 28th. And I didn't find anything to think was bad or anything, but maybe the market disagreed with me on that one. So receipts towards 50 million, operating cash flow positive 22.5 million, and yeah, they increased their cash by 3 million. So nice start to Meeka Metals production. Okay, so let's have a little chart for the other two. I don't Westwits investor. Let's have a look at their. I'm just going to see if in their quarterly activities they mention when they're going to go into production. I don't know. Here we go. Entering 2026 with operations, funding, permitting, infrastructure aligned, fully funded through to steady state production. Okay, so that's actually really good. So they should be going to production. No financial considerations needed moving forward, but I just want to know exactly when. Westwits remains on track to deliver 30,000 tonnes of ore by March 2026. So it's really near. It's near. And Manuka is the same sort of situation. But Manuka share price has gone a little bit silly. Maybe not silly, but it has gone up. My kitchen rules. Yeah, so it's gone berserk. I don't know. Yeah, but it's going to pull back a fair bit on Monday's session. I would say down 20%. No, 10 to 15, 20%. And Westwits probably, yeah, let's have a look. Well, I actually think this chart is fairly similar, but not as quite as extreme as Manuka. They're both in beautiful uptrends. Westwits has a markup of 332 versus Manuka with a markup of 319. So fairly similar to that. So fairly similar valuations. Manuka share price has gone on a really significant short-term rally, and Westwits actually share price has pulled back recently. So even though they're both gone up a lot, I can definitely see why you're saying, yeah, there's not a lot of not absolute symmetry. But again, I think Westwits share price will drop a fair bit on Monday, and I would be surprised if the share price maybe drops. Definitely will drop in the sixes. How low though? It could be a good buying opportunity. But thank you. I'm going to put Westwits down on my list because I have not looked at Westwits. Okay. MAP. I only have E25 and VKA in my PF personal portfolio. Did you look at ML8? Yes, sort of. And there was a sort of a bit of a back and two from Sense or between Sensei and MAP. Yep, there we go. By the way, my specky portfolio is going to be significantly hit on Monday. Just thinking about that right now, but I don't care. Got no money in it. It's only pride that may be damaged. Did you look at ML8? I had a look at this. I don't know when. Yeah, Moonlight Resources. That's right, Moonlight Resources. I'm not sure when I had a look at this, but I had a look, and I think it was just a chart that that drew me in. Yeah, it was a chart, but this is a recent listing, and it was just some big volume coming through on Friday that drew me in. The share price went up a fair bit on the day, but I think it was just a recent listing that I went, nah, it's just too close to listing. And that's all I did with Moonlight Resources. I just had a look at the chart. So it looks like they're a Gold Explorer. Investor presentation on the 12th. Have a look at that. And listed on the 9th, looks like. So too recent of a listing. Kelly Ma 3206 says KZR Kalamazoo Resources Gold Play WA Gold Project, also St Barbara Gold Player. Again, gold. These companies will pull back a fair bit on Monday. But as soon as I saw this comment, Kalamazoo, I went back to my camp council days back in 1998 in Massachusetts. I went from Australia to Massachusetts to be a camp counsellor for 3 or 4 months. And then I was intending to travel the world. And then I stayed in USA for 8 years. That's what's happened. Anyway, the reason I remember that for Kalamazoo is because I was in a camp. It was a YMC camp, and different aim ranges have different titled camps. And my camp was, I forget exactly what it's called, but they had a song, And I can't remember the start of the song, but it ends with Kalamazoo, bison, bison, moo, moo, moo. So that's the last half. Kalamazoo, bison, 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 moo, moo, moo. And as soon as I saw Kalamazoo, my mind went back to those days when I was much younger, more carefree, had no money. And after we did the camp counselling, there was about a group of 7 or 8 of us. We bought 2 cars, very cheap. Petrol was at that point, we were paying less than $1 a gallon. Yes, less than $1 a gallon, which is 25 cents a litre. I could fill my car for $10, which was great as someone who didn't have money. And we traveled all around Canada, United States for about 4 weeks. And then I just stayed there. Anyway, so you just brought me memories. You sort of brought up memories of those times. I just wish I could remember the start of that song. I do remember this last half. Yeah, Kalamazoo, bison, bison, moo, moo, moo. Yeah, anyway. KZR, Kalamazoo. In all these gold charts are going to look good. That is the problem. They're all going to look good. And if they don't look good, then why would you be in it? Share price popped up significantly on Tuesday, up 22.5%. What did they release on Tuesday? Initial drilling campaign at Leo Grande intersects gold. This one actually did not pop up on my list. Oh, that's the wrong company. Silly me. KZR. Nothing. They didn't release anything. Just share price just popped up. And the chart still looks good. However, share price will drop a lot on Monday's session. In fact, the share price probably dropped to 18, 17 cents. It could be a trend killer. I don't know. And St. Barbara, we'll have a look at St. Barbara as well. They actually were in a bit of a dispute, and the dispute was cleared up or something, and the share price went up a fair bit on Wednesday. I forget what it was. So let's have a look at St. Barbara. SBM is a ticker. Yes, Simberi mining lease extension approved. I think there was maybe some contention whether this particular lease would be extended. Formally extended until 2038. There you go. So that's why the share price popped up on Wednesday, and the chart looks pretty good. I have long-term issues with the management of this company. I don't know if it's well-founded, but look how volatile, how cyclical St. Barbara is. You could have bought this company for at 5 cents, even lower, like 3 cents in 2014, the bottom of the cycle, or near the bottom, and then sold at 225. So a lot of times you can become very wealthy if you just play the trend, play the cycle. And by the way, the weekly chart looks pretty good for St. Barbara. Okay, I've got to get a move on here. Well, I do time these videos at 1 hour and 22 minutes. Hachi, I really need to learn how to hold Nairata 20. Okay, so what are you talking about is you sell a little bit too prematurely. Now, Mayfield Group, 4 out, steady 2 years. Possible profit. Yeah, I never do this. I never think possible profit if I maintain a holding, because what you're always also not doing, or maybe you are doing this, but probably what you're not doing is the money you save for all the companies you sold out, who then share price went down a fair bit. Are you doing that? Are you looking at all the times your decisions have been very beneficial? So, and if you maintain a holdings all these companies and maintain all the companies that went down, maybe you lost more. I don't know. Anyway, so I never have a look at what if I held this company for the long term. What if? Because if you're doing that, you can run your mind in circles, and then you might get into the point where you get into a state of decision paralysis, where you just can't make a decision because you think this is going to be the wrong decision if I sell. You see that a lot. I know if I sell, the share price is going to go up, but if I don't sell, the share price is going to drop. I just know that's what's going to happen. So that's the reason why I have rules, because the rules will keep me, maybe not sane, but it will help me make decisions. And if I realize, well, I'm not being benefited from these rules, change the rules. NTU is my next 5x play, 2 years hold, 0, 2x, Paladin 2x, EH Nasdaq 400. Yes, I remember you talking about that. That's a what's it called? ETOL, whatever it's called. I'm going to have a look at one of these companies, NTU, which is Northern Minerals. I don't know anything about this company. Does whatever. Jeez. Was this company on my watch list? Let me have a look, because the name is familiar. I've got an uranium. Is this uranium? So it must be uranium. Activities. Let's have a look at their activities. Looks like they're rare earths. Rare earths. Do they have uranium? Because it's in my uranium watch list. So, and I don't have a rare earths watch list. Uranium. They're talking about rare earths. Rare earths. Yeah, it looks like a heavy rare earths focused company. There we go. Rare earths. Now, for me, it's the volume has been nice, but the share price did pop up a few weeks ago. No, that's October. Oh, that's a weekly chart. Oh, what am I doing? The share price was looking really nicely, popped up a fair bit on the 15th of October, has pulled back. Yeah, so it has pulled back a fair bit at this point in time. Market cap is $300 million. I'm not the biggest fan of this chart at this point in time. Now, in saying that, no, that was uranium. Uranium price. Oh, no, was it uranium? Something went up a lot. No, that was coal. That was coal, natural gas. Okay, so, you could be right. I have no idea. We'll come back to this in 2 years to see if you're right. No, we'll come back to this in 5 years to see if you're right. Sensei says, could you have a look at the 10-month chart for Terra Metals TM1 and explain why it has gone from 1.8 to 36 cents? Okay, so you can't have a look at a chart and say why the share price has gone up a lot. And the share price has gone up a lot. Share price was as low as, 1.8 cents, did you say? Yeah, 1.8 cents. It has gone up a fair bit since then. If what I'm doing is looking for a catalyst, some sort of catalyst. It looks like the beginning of this run happened on the 29th of May, 2025. Let's go to the 29th of May, 2025, because that will tell us maybe why there was or has been a re-rating for this company. And what date was that? My memory can be bad. 29th of May. Nothing. It could have been, who knows, there could have been some news flow in the media, or maybe something to do with what this company is doing, rare earths. It could have been something as simple as that, but something happened on the 29th of May, share price up 38.5%, and that was a start. That was it. That was a catalyst. Now, maybe before that, there was some news flow, but look at the volume on that day. Something happened on that day, and that is the key. Terra Metals, 29 May 2025. Here we go. Terra Metals, MetalX sells $100 million deal to form a copper cobalt partnership in Zambia, 28th of May 2025. Is this it? Is this the reason why the share price went up? But they haven't mentioned anything in their comment in here. Am I looking at the right year? May 2025. Let's have a look. They released something on the 3rd of June. Oh, this is a copper. So not rare earths, it's copper. No, northern minerals is the rare earths. So copper. Yeah, it's really interesting. It seems like it could have been something happening, and maybe it was this. There's probably it's not coincidence that they formed this partnership and the share price pops up, but why have they not mentioned it in their comments? Potentially, just potentially, the ComSec missed that announcement. Let's go to market index. No, they haven't anything either. And then we saw $4 million strategic investment secured to accelerate Dante, 13th of June. And the share price did pop up on that day by 7%. So something around this particular project set in sort of like a catalyst for the share price to be re-rated. And then they released something the other day, the 27th of January. I can't remember this one. 27th of January, major high-grade platinum group metal discovery. Well, the share price should drop a lot after that. Anyway, that's all I got. That's all I got. Just acronym. ARB has pulled back to support line. Next support is 1430. Let's have a look at ARB. Another quasi high quality company. And ugly. They released something negative on the 20th of January, and it was a little bit of support at that level, $27, and the share price fell through that like Swiss cheese, and share price sort of rallied back up on Friday to that level. And the next resistance or support was it $14? So there is a bit of support, about support right there. There we go. That goes back to the lows the company saw back in 2022. So there is support where the share price is right now. If you have a look at the daily chart. So it did bounce off that support level. And if we go back to the weekly chart and go further back, there is a long way to go. So if the share price drops any further from here, we're talking about multi 5-6 year low for ARB Corporation. Ben Hutchinson, haven't watched tonight's episode, but Orcoda AUA has some interesting price action today. Someone started buying around 2:30 p.m. rather noisily, I thought. Price rose 18%. Volume was 4 to 5 times normal daily average. AUA. And that's the weekly. So a good week. And there you can see the share price up 18%, and the rally continued in the next few days. I am sort of not surprised. If you have a look at this chart, share price has gone on a couple of rallies. Now, the volume on that day was not as big as we saw back in December. Share price then went sideways for a while. Funny enough, it hit the 25-day moving average and has gone higher. So when I see the share price rally like this and then go sideways, I do get a little bit more excited. I think there's more validity to what's happening, but I did not take a position in Orcoda. I did not, even though I do like it. I do like this chart, Orcoda. They did release their Appendix 4C, and this was the 21st. And I don't remember being too enthusiastic about it. I wasn't that enthusiastic about it just yet, but they're moving in the right direction, I suppose. If we have a look at cash receipts versus net operating cash usage, receipts sort of going sideways, and I want to see a little bit more momentum, but maybe the market is telling us that this momentum is coming. This company is maybe going places just based off the chart and volume. So someone is getting interested in Orcoda. Ibrahim Abu, NES getting a lot of attention. Fundamentals seem to stack up with technical analysis. Deep dive into this one would be would be nice before taking a position, maybe. Okay, I won't do a deep dive, maybe a deep dive, but maybe not a deep dive in this video because I'm falling a little bit behind. NES, I don't know anything about this one. Nelson Resources. Oh, look at that volume. Oh, share price is below 1 cent. So look at that volume. By the way, this is my specky list. I did know that. So this is my specky list. This is one company I did buy and put my specky list just because of this chart and the volume. So even though I don't know nothing about it, it was just the volume and the price action, even though share price is below 1 cent. But this chart did look familiar, and that's why. I don't know why, but the volume, beautiful spike in volume in October, and then the volume has returned as the share price pulled lower. So let's hope the share price goes up 5,000%. Well, not really, because I don't have any money in Nelson. I don't know anything about the company itself. I assume. So even though Ibrahim says fundamentals seem to stack up with technical analysis, whenever I hear someone saying it or talking about fundamentals, I think cash flow, profit, that sort of thing. And a lot of other people mean something else when it comes to fundamentals, particularly with mining exploring companies. They're talking about drilling hits, stuff like that. But for me, fundamentals is, well, fundamental analysis, profits and cash flow, that sort of thing. So I don't think the company is at that point. I don't think the company, they're just an exploring company. So I'm not going to talk about their exploration. I might have a look at some of their hits. So looks like they've acquired something, quite 90% in high grades gold, silver, Gold Point project. Maybe that is what has caused interest in the company. And I do like acquisitions, but I do prefer acquisitions of mines that have been in production or already in production. And I particularly like smaller mining companies purchasing mines from much bigger mining companies who just think it's too small, because it can be company changing. Nice. Oh, that's rock chips. Anyway, so the way to answer this one is, you know way more about this company because you mentioned fundamentals. And yeah, I've put this into my specky portfolio just because I like the volume. And even though share price is below 1 cent, I did pick quite a few companies in this portfolio whose share price is below 1 cent, because I think you can't let the share price for potential 10 baggers getting away, even if the share price is at this level. Personally, I probably would be more hesitant, because you might see the share price going sideways for a long time. But the upside maybe is there, and the market cap is only $13.7 million. Fantastico. Qoria keeps going down. Usually wait for chart to turning before entry, but why not on Qoria? I would say, or could say, this could be a mistake. I'm not there yet. The main reason I took a position in Qoria is because it hit or was very close to a long-term support line. Well, maybe not long-term. Yeah, this little support line, there's a bit of support and a trend. It hit that trend line, and I thought the market was overreacting. But I'll be honest with you, I expected the share price to bounce. I really expect the share price to bounce from here. It's still at the price I bought. So I did buy on the day it fell a lot, but I bought near the low on that day, and it did bounce a fair bit. And I expected that bounce to continue to, say, the high 40s, but it hasn't happened. So it's gone down. And that's actually a little bit more bearish. When I see the share price keep on dropping, we haven't seen any sort of buying coming in. And when I say buying, I mean people buying on market. At this point in time, it seems like it's more people selling on market, which drives the share price down. Now, maybe on Friday, we did see the share price go up 3%. Maybe that has stopped, but really big volume came through. So this could be a mistake, and I'm willing to ride that more sort of mistake. It's not one of my favorite trades, buying on expectations of a bounce. I don't usually do that. But in this case, I decided to do it. And I'm willing to hold this for the longer term in case we don't see the bounce as well, because I do think there might be value there. Oh, no. It was Alcidian, where we're at the bottom of the seasonal cycle. So the next few quarters for Alcidian will be really good. The next few quarters for Qoria might be a little bit bad. Not bad, but a little bit lower than the last few quarters. They are seasonal. Pee-wee, Specky is EV1, and I think this is also in my Specky. I have a feeling this one does sound familiar. Let me have a look. Yep, this is another Specky. Okay, nice volume. Share price down a fair bit on Friday, and I expect it to go down a fair bit on Monday. So, yeah. In fact, it went from 2.9 cents to 2.2 cents. But don't forget, during trading on Friday, gold and silver prices fell a fair bit. That is why we saw this sort of range in gold and silver stocks. What's that one called again? Evolution Energy, not Evolution Mining, which is gold. And this company has a market cap of 13.44 million. And the main reason I picked this one, look at the volume, look, beautiful volume. But we'll wait and see what happens in the longer term. Fishbowl, as I mentioned before, any chance you can list the ones that you didn't pick because you own them, or because we picked them, that will be very helpful to broaden the horizon. Let's do that right now. So let's have a look at your list of companies. Oh, do I have it in here? Oh, I might not have put your picks in here yet. I've got your picks for 2025. Okay, so I can't remember what you picked. So I probably would have picked CSL, probably Telix. I wouldn't have picked 4D Medical. I'm trying to think at the top. Or WiseTech, I would have picked WiseTech. Yeah, so there's quite a few companies at the top of the list I would have picked in my list, but I do own those as well. So WiseTech, CSL, what's the other one I said? Zero is another one I think is going to do really well. Can't remember if you picked that one, but yeah, a lot of beaten down stocks like that, tech stocks. I think there's a chance that by the end of this year, we're going to see a bit of a return to the sort of return in sentiment, rebound in sentiment for those type of companies. But unfortunately, for some reason, I have not put your watch list into or your companies into a watch list just yet. I've done it for mine, but not yours. Got 2025 Nepi picks. Nah, that's weird. Okay. Come on, man. It says EXT is too cheap. So EXT is Excite Technology, share price at 0.9 cents. I did take a position this one at 0.8 cents. Going against what I usually want to do is not buy companies with share price below 0.8 cents, but I was enthused enough by their quarterly to say, hey, I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk in this one. I like this quarterly, cash flow positive, nice increase in receipts. I don't mind what they do as well. They're a cybersecurity company. So I think this company has a lot of tailwinds behind it. But whether we get those returns in those tailwinds remains to be seen. But if they remain being operating cash flow and free cash flow positive moving forward, this company is cheap. They have a market cap of 10 million, was it? 10 million? 18.74 million. Yeah, so there is potential this one is cheap. Ben Hutchison, another one on Qoria, seems to be holding at support around 32 cents while the rest of the IT crowd take a cold shower. We'll wait to see what happens on Monday. Yeah, so it does look like it's found support at this level, but I want to see a bounce. I need to see a bounce. Another one about TM1, Terra Metals. I just checked and saw that Terra Metals went up 1,000% in the last year. It just goes to show that even someone like yourself who checks the markets daily and is extremely investing savvy can miss these and never have the stock come up on your radar in the last 12 months. I am trying to fix that now. And the way I'm fixing that now, because if I have a look at Terra Metals, the very fact that there was not an announcement when their share price popped up. There was no announcement on that day. The 29th, there was no announcement. That is what I'm looking for. So the way to get around this is to have a look at unusual volume. So for instance, what I do is trying to do this every day. What I do is list by market cap in reverse order. So you get a lot of ETFs, crappy ETFs. And so then we have Renerve up 5%. Market cap 14.4. I'm looking for the smaller companies. So Renerve, Novo Resources. But what I'm also looking at is share price going up on big volume. So I get rid of like Novo Resources, Ariana Resources, Latitude, Black Horse. And I don't think we're going to find anything here because what I'm particularly looking for is mining companies because those are the ones more likely to be 10 baggers over a short period of time. Like Ozarome, I talked about that. So I don't think we're going to see much the other day. But I did this on Thursday night, and I got a list of, here's a list. I've just started a new watch list. And what did I call it? A volume. I just got a volume. And these are companies that I put into this particular watch list. Just looking at volume. Companies that I missed. So straight away, Focus Minerals. I might have mentioned this once or twice, but maybe that's it. But the beautiful chart for Focus Minerals, maybe that'll change on Monday. VBX. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. I think I'm not even sure if I mentioned this one. Javelin, another one. Auric. Nice little pop-up in volume. That's a small gold producer. EMC, Everest Metals. Look at that. This one did not get onto my list, I think. But for some reason, share price has popped up on bigger volume. PEX, Peel Mining. Nice looking chart for Peel Mining. Subtle increase in volume because there's a massive increase in volume in September. but you can just see a subtle increase in volume in the last 2 days. MHM, Mount Hope, not sure what's happening here, but another nice little increase in volume for some reason. SQX has been popping up on this little screener for a while. Yeah, for 3 days in a row it popped up. CTN, Catalina, another one that's just popped up. AA2, Ariana Resources, NVO, Nova Resources, CST's Constellation, no, Castile Resources, and RHY, which is Rhythm Biosciences, popped up the other day as well. Share price pulled back 14% on Friday. So that is something I'm doing now, is just catching some of these moves that are on volume, but not on necessarily on announcements. I'm really following 1 hour, 45 minutes, geez. And since I mentioned, for the first time ever in my investing journey for 2026, I'm trying something new to deal with the exact thing you're talking about, missing huge growers on the ASX in late December 2025, using market index or ASX stocks, lower share price to high share, saw that it had 2,313 listings. He separated into 9 equal groups, and in my trading software made 9 separate lists, and each code one by one took several hours, so I could manually and visually click and check which of the 2,313 stocks are potentially going upwards and which ones are going downwards on the charts. Anyone in the comments is free to suggest a better way that saves more time, energy, but to catch 2025 high growers, like all the ones he's mentioned here, and to avoid falling knives, it seems all 2,300 stocks have to be observed. There we go. Sensei has a different way of doing it. Nice says, great work as always. Can you have a look at Polynovo? Share price going down despite continued growth in revenue and cash flows. Positive company. Worth having a look at AVH, Avita, and Aroa Biosurgery, ARX as well, similar sector. Polynovo share price has dropped a lot. I do like this one. The only question I have about Polynovo is a valuation. Oh, look at that. Yeah, share prices. Oh, it is getting towards a buy price, which is about $1. Now, the valuation, 715 million, which is much lower than it used to be. It used to be well above $1 billion. And this company is profitable, I believe, and growing. Profitable and growing. If you have a look at their trading result on the 19th of January, let's have a look. Growing, look at that. Beautiful growth in sales. Do they mention profits here? Operating cash flow positive, 9.5 million for the first half, compared to an outflow of 12.5 million previous corresponding period. And positive cash flow from operation. Oh no, that's already talked about that. I haven't mentioned profits, but I would assume the company is profitable or near profitability. But the chart is telling us something different. The market doesn't like this one at all. It could be just negative. Though in saying that, around $1 is a really good support level for this company. Does it go back that far? No. So it's at a nice support level. And the upside here is pretty extreme. We're talking about a 3-bagger. It has even more than that potential. So, yeah, so I think it's just negative sentiment in this space, driving the share price down for Polynovo, and it is at a support level. I'm going to write this down because I'm more interested in this sort of support level than, say, Beach Energy or Veeam. So Veeam got really close, but I think it fell below that long-term support level. Yeah, it's fallen well below now. Geez. So, yeah, it's just fallen through that support level like Swiss cheese. Well, I don't know if that's a saying. AVH and ARX. I'll do ARX first. I was trading this, then I got out because the trend just went negative. Not negative, but the uptrend had come to an end. This is a nice little uptrend, beautiful uptrend. And then there was a big down day on the 18th of November, and that was getting out. That was me getting out. Looked like it was a wrong choice. Share price started to go higher back in early January, and then for some reason, share price has plunged. Wasn't that big a fan of their most recent update either. I thought it was a little bit negative. Maybe not all that negative, but just a little bit. Yeah, the results on the 25th of November. In fact, maybe that's why the share price dived. Anyway, and the other one was Avita, and this is going in the complete opposite direction recently. This one has gone up 40% maybe? No, 23%. It did go up to almost $1.33 after being as low as $1. I would still say this is in a downtrend. but showing signs that maybe the bottom or the floor is in, and the floor is $1. The floor looks like it might be $1 for Avita. I think the valuation of this one is interesting, $188 million markup. I don't think it's has the same financials as, or it's in a good place as Polynovo. Business update, 14th of January. Revenue 17.6 million in the fourth quarter. Revenue for the year, nice, up to 71.6. Nice growth there. But I don't think they're profitable, and they are burning through cash still, I think, if I remember correctly. But both are, yeah, AVH, particularly Polynovo, share price in regards to support is really interesting. So more interesting in Polynovo at this point in time. Kalimar, lovely video as always, thank you. EQR Resources, quarterly production up 34%, but stock down. Isn't some value here at 24 cents? Thanks. I always have a look at EQR Resources quarterly results and go, yeah, not for me at all. Burning through a lot of cash. The production should be up a fair bit because they did close down production for a while. That would be my thoughts. Oh, I need a drink. That would be my first thoughts. Receipts 12.5 million, operating cash flow negative. That's the one thing I know about EQR Resources. They burn through cash like there's nothing else, like it grows on trees. But I do track this company's quarterly receipts, and let's have a look. Yeah, so it wasn't that long ago we had less than $1 million receipts because receipts had dropped. But if you go back 3 or 4 years, receipts up to 32.4 million, and even then they weren't operating cash flow positive. So I think you need faith in what they're doing, graphite, because they are burning through a lot of cash. So EQR Resources for me is just wait and see what happens, or it's a trading stock, and this could be one of my favorite charts on the ASX ever. And the whole reason, look at that volatility. Oh, by the way, share price has dropped below the uptrend. Has got to 24 cents, which was the previous lows in 25th of September. But it could bounce, but I don't like how the share price has dropped a lot on big volume. It is a negative move. And I'm wondering if the sell-off in commodities on Monday will send EQR Resources share price down 10, 20%. Wait and see. I expect my trading portfolio to be hit hard. So I don't really care about the quarterly production because it is coming from a low base from a few quarters ago because they stopped production for some reason. I think it was protests or something like that. I can't remember. But they need to, in fact, I'll show you EQR Resources. Let's go back to 2022. Put that on 2022. Oh, I've gone back too far. Let's have a look at their quarterly cash flow in April of 2022. Let's just see if they were burning a lot of cash at this point as well. Yeah, $18 million burning through $14 million of cash. So that's not the quarter I wanted. I wanted the quarter, the September quarter 2022. September quarter 2022. So I didn't go far. I went too far back. September quarter 2022. Oh, this is one thing I had about market index. So I did market price sensitive, and I've got to do it again because first world issues. Here we go. Where is it? Here we go. So October 2022, they had cash receipts of 30 odd million. Let's see if they were operating cash flow positive in this particular quarter. I have a feeling they weren't, because I remember this company burning cash every single quarter. Yeah, $32 million in cash receipts, and they're still operating cash flow negative. So don't even worry about free cash flow. And there we are, free cash flow negative by 31 million. So this company still has a lot to prove to me that it can be anything other than a cash burner. And it's just a chart. And we've seen 3 times, maybe even 4 times, in 2025 when the market got really excited and then that excitement just died away so quickly. And right now, sentiment has sort of collapsed again. Hachi, 250 units at zero at $99. Oversold, massive company, money will come back into tech eventually. I agree with that. Probably the biggest question I have is when's the lows? When is the bottom? And share price now down to 93.75. The chart looks terrible, but when is the low going to be? It looks oversold. It looks completely oversold, but I've probably been thinking that for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I will, when I get an indication the low is in, which I probably won't be exactly the low. Excuse me for the burp. By the way, I'll just show you why I don't look at RSI a lot, because you can sort of tell if something is oversold. And this one's been oversold. Yeah, it's been oversold for a long time, since November. Yeah, and we haven't seen a bounce. So just because something is oversold doesn't necessarily mean the share price will recover. There's just so much negative sentiment in this space, and eventually sentiment will shift. Share price of this one has halved in 7 months. I think it will come back eventually. Trader who passed on about a company called Iress, released their quarterly today, operating cash flow positive, up 13%, a very small company, only 7.8 million market cap, very liquid. Yep, this company is of no interest to me except for what they do. Delivery of weather and climate intelligence, thought you might be interested because of your work. General interest, not trading interest. I have zero interest in this company except what they do. Other than that, zero interest. I've known about this company since they listed. In fact, I knew someone who worked for this company as well. Yeah, delivery of weather and climate intelligence. And the reason I have no interest is they just have no momentum. I'm not sure about the addressable market. It must be really small. They just don't have any momentum. Business momentum, very little business momentum. On occasion, they have good quarters. On occasion, they have negative quarters. In fact, when they do release a quarterly, I just look at the cash receipts and then just move on. And yeah, they were operating cash flow positive by a nice amount. Oh, they did receive a lot of government grants and tax incentives, which will sort of distort the cash flow. So if you take that away, they were actually cash flow negative by $177 million. No, 177,000, not million. They aren't that big. So receipts are $1 million. And if you go back through their history, and I've never done this with AER, if you go back through their history, they've been around since 2015. They've been around a long time. So receipts have very slowly gone up. So they finally got to $1 million about a year ago. It's a very slow increase in receipts. Over a 10-year period, they've gone up fivefold, but on a low base. So no interest in I was going to call them Ares Resources. No interest in Ares at this point in time. Funny enough, when I first discovered them, I was like, ooh. And they are liquidly traded. If you have a look at the weekly chart, the share price high was when they listed in 2014. Share price low in 2017. Another high in May 2021. And probably a new low in April 2025. Share price looks like it's gone on a run. It's up towards 10 cents, but I have no interest. Sort of one of those companies where you're interested in what they do, but not interested in the company itself. Shinigami would love a follow-up now on Xero. Given the changes to the stock since your video, you are very good at what you are. Thank you. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Xero, I still would consider Xero to be a high-quality company. Well, I probably would consider Xero to be a high-quality company in the making. Not sure what I said in this video, but I would classify Xero as a high-quality company in the making, maybe not there just yet. And let's just have a quick look at why. In fact, I think you see that in the chart right now. A high-quality company share price should not drop 50%, because eventually you're going to get all these value players going, well, that's not true. A high-quality company might drop in share price by 50% if or significantly overvalued. And the reason I say that is if the company was reasonably valued or just a little bit overvalued, and then share price drops 50%, you should see a lot of value investors coming in. So I think one of the reasons behind Xero's share price drop is because it is richly valued, or was richly valued, plus I don't think a lot of value investors would consider it to be high quality or of value just yet, because they haven't had a long history of profitability. But revenue growth really high. Earnings per share growth should be even higher. It is. So we're talking about revenue growth above 20% per year, which is exactly what you want. Well, you do want at least 10%, but 20% is perfect. Margins, gross margins, 88.8%. Operating margin, 16.2%. I expect that to climb and climb and climb. Return equity at 3.3%. Return invested capital of 47.5%. Now, that's a 5-year average, and I expect return equity. In fact, let's do it right now. I would expect return on equity, if we have a look at this, where is it? It's in capital efficiency, return equity, to be up to, it's getting to 10%. So we're getting higher. So that's a 5-year average, and we're getting to the point where if the company continues to grow, remain profitable, we're going to see return equity increase, and we're going to see that 5-year average get up to well above 10%. So it has all the makings of a high-quality company. P/E ratio is 67.9. I'd probably disregard that just now, because if you have a look at their profit, and we'll get rid of that. So revenue, nice growth, and have a look at their profit. This has a potential to just go up twofold or threefold in 1 year. Has that potential. But the revenue growth is the main thing I look for here. And finally, the company's become profitable. So, yeah. So it just needs a little bit more time to percolate before I call it an absolute high-quality company. And I think that's shown in the chart for Xero, where the share price has dropped over 50% in a fairly short period of time. But if you have a look at the 200-week moving average, the last time the share price fell well below the 200-week moving average, was prime buying conditions, and I bought at that point. So I was up double on this position. Now it's getting back to where I probably will add to my position, because I think this company is in a much better place right now than it was when I took a position in 2023. And I think it's a better company. So it just shows you how sentiment can drive the share price of a company down significantly on nothing more than just negative sentiment. And maybe just a little bit more, but anyway. Ben Hutchinson says, hot on heels of more good news, Neuron seems to have fallen through whatever support existed around $17. Looks to head lower for reasons. Inflation bad for long duration growers, perhaps. Will it stun falling? I likely top up my position in this successful well-run biotech. So this is a company I own, and I also trade this one. I'm not trading Neuron right now, but I have been trading it over the last few years. And there was a really nice period here where I was trading it. This little period from May through to October. I took profits on the 6th of November because it was a big down day. And it looks like that was a mistake, because the share price looked like it was going to go up. And now all of a sudden share price has dropped. So maybe it'd been a premature sell. I could have waited, but that was my rule with trades like this. Sell on this sort of down day. Something's happening. The company hasn't released anything negative. In fact, they released something positive. So I'm not sure what's caused the share price to drop by this. It could be just a little bit of negative sentiment, or Ben could be right. It's just people concerned about increasing interest rates, and they think this company is going to be slammed. It's ridiculous, because I don't think interest rates are going to rise all that much. Maybe 1 or 2. That's it, which won't significantly affect these companies, in my opinion. Designation 8, if you're forced to sell all stocks you currently own, and with that cash, you can buy only 1 or 2 ASX companies to hold until the year 2030, 2031, what would you buy? Oh, dear. Ooh, gee me. I'm glad this is not possible in real life. This is a hypothetical. What would you buy? CSL. CSL, this is the time to buy CSL, around now, I think. CSL will grow over the next 5 years. I think there's also a chance that we're going to see acceleration in the growth, particularly in like 3 to 5 year period. It's still growing. It's been priced as a company that's not going to grow at all. In fact, even, well, maybe just a little bit of growth. And I think by 2030, not only are we going to see financial growth, we're going to see multiple expansion. And what I mean by that, the P ratio of CSL right now is 16, 17, maybe 17, maybe it's 18. I forget. Let's see. P ratio 18. And you're going to see multiple expansion. I wouldn't be surprised if P ratio gets back above 30. So you're going to have financial expansion, multiple expansion, and it wouldn't be surprising to see share price double from here. I'm trying to think of a company that has a potential to go up tenfold. Well, there's many companies has that potential. So CSL would be one. I'm going to pick a smaller company. Smaller company that has potential to be a multi-bagger over the next 5 years. It's not going to be any mining company. American company, why not? No American companies. Let me have a look at some smaller companies. Oh, I'm going to go for a company here. I've just saw the ticker code for this company. I don't know about this one. It's called AI Media Technologies. I don't think this company releases an Appendix 4C, if I remember correctly. Let me have a look. No, they don't. They don't. But the reason I picked this one is I've not released any market-sensitive announcement for ages. The reason I'm picking this one is because of their forward-looking EBITDA or something. So their underlying EBITDA right now is 4.6 million. So this company is profitable, it looks like. But I remember looking at this company and one of the presentations or something, and they expect their EBITDA in 4 years' time to be. So now, just because they're expecting it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm going to see if they've mentioned it in this. They've also gone to more of a SaaS model, I think. I could be wrong. I haven't had a very close look at this company, but I remember this one thing. Here we go. 5-year aspirational target. Or maybe it was revenue. I thought it was EBITDA. Oh, no, it is our underlying EBITDA. So this is their 5-year target. So this is financial year 29. So they're expecting revenue to go up a fair bit, 150 million. But EBITDA, remember, it was like 4.6 million this year, and their expectations, underlying EBITDA will be 60 million in financial year 29. I was like, well, okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure if we're going to get here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, revenue split. Tech and services. Now I'm starting to remember. So more of their split is in tech than services. Lower margins services, much higher margins in tech, and they're expecting tech to just go bonkers. Now, just because they say that doesn't mean it will go bonkers. And I have not got a position in this company, by the way. I've just thought about it, and I've been thinking about it because of this. I love when companies put these targets, aspirational targets. I just like it a lot. So if they get there, 60 million EBITDA, underlying EBITDA by 2029, which would mean, so margins are going to go up significantly, which means the company has a market cap of, where's the market index? Company has a market cap, I think $100 million right now, $127 million, which means underlying EBITDA 60 million, conservative, it should be 5 times, 6 times that. That's really conservative. You could even say 10 to 15 times that, which would mean potential 5 to 10 times upside in just the market cap of this company if they approach those aspirational targets. I'm sort of talking myself into a position in AI media, but I love that sort of thing. So I've not. Oh, share price has pulled back a little bit. There you go. AI media. And that was just me going through some ticker codes. I was just going through all these ticker codes on my other screen. And I just saw AIM and I went, oh, I remember that company. There you go. AI media. And all because of this 5-year aspirational target. And if they achieve that, this company is really undervalued right now. Market's supposed to be forward-looking, right? Yeah, anyway. I'm just putting it out there. Bizarre sell-off on ASX today when all spot prices gone up, but it's ASX, so no surprise anymore. I think we know why. The ASX and investors, much smarter than me, were really concerned about the potential, maybe, of commodity prices going down. And we did see commodity prices go down yesterday. So maybe it's not really smart people, it's just people who are paying attention. Maybe. And I'm not sure if I was paying attention to what was happening with commodity prices during trading. So let's have a look at gold. We go to the 1 minute chart. And if we go back to yesterday, yes. So at the beginning of trading yesterday, gold was at 5,440. And by the end of trading, gold was 5,150. So gold dropped a lot. And I think that is what happened. Probably a lot of the other commodity prices dropped a lot. And that is what led to the sell-off yesterday in some of the commodities. I noticed it a lot. A lot of even small mining companies were down over 10%. It was, in fact, I'll show you my small cap trades. Here it is. Some were up a lot, like 46%, 23.53%, but a lot were down by double digits. Here's one up by 36.67%. So a lot of these were small mining companies down a lot. And I think that's why. We just saw a decreasing gold prices during the day, which can happen. Oh, really interesting insight from Demonic Arco. KLV liquidity too garbage for intraday trading. Out of the few hundred day traders we have, only one person I know touched it. This sort of makes sense because let's go back to this company, KLV, Clever Rewards. And I just mentioned that this one person wanted to sell at 2.5 cents. And it's still there. It's still there. Haven't got rid of it. And that would limit trading. That in itself will limit trading. And I would say, yeah, maybe some day traders not out in this because of lack of liquidity, but seems liquidity is okay on occasion, but not every day. There's one day here, probably one trade. Liquidity okay some days, but I think that probably makes sense. I would not be trading this either because share price popped up on nothing, really. I thought nothing anyway. Anyway, so interesting insight from Demonico, who knows hundreds of day traders well. There you go. Groovy shoes, a bit of a different thought, different sort of line of thought than what I had when it comes to Doug. So I was trading Doug, got out of it, got my sell point. But Doug, or Groovy Shoes, says, I see it maintaining long-term trend with it having pulled back to trend line since April 2025. So let's have a look at Doug. And this is when you can have a chart and look at it many different ways, but that's a 1 minute chart. By the way, if you have a look at the 1 minute chart, it's really interesting because we can see the share price is tanking, and there's a massive volume spike near open on Thursday. That was near the bottom, and the share price has rebounded, but the rebound hasn't been that strong. And I probably would think this has more chance of going lower from here, just based off that chart. But if you have a look at the daily chart, there is a bit of a trend. Yeah, I did put the trend in because of this comment. There's a bit of trend going back to April. I'd call this more like a medium trend. But for me, we have a new lower low. Went below the previous period of lows back in December, November. And it does look like the share price fell below the trend, just below the trend. And share price is trying to get back up above the trend, but it's failing. Okay, day, 2 days, but there's many ways to read charts. And for me, there's a bit more downside to Doug, and that's why. It was just a bit more downside, and the upside, I think, is just not there. Now, we might see share price going to run. That's okay. It's just limiting the downside in this particular instance. So, in fact, the whole reason why you might have people buying is because it's hit the downtrend line or the uptrend line, and now's the time to buy. Your blue line appears to be exponential moving. Yeah, exponential. Yeah, it is. So, yeah, I'm now interested in seeing it bounce. It's tried to bounce. I think it's tried to bounce the last 2 days, and it really hasn't. It's trying. So, Doug Tech, is this a mining? I can't remember. If it's a mining services company, I think the share price should drop, but I don't think it's mining service. It's a high computing as a service or something like that. Is that right? High computing as a service? Where's the about section here? High computing as a service. Let's see what they say. Provision of software solutions for scientific data analysis. It offers computing as a service, software solutions for scientific data for the global technology and resources sector. So it's sort of, in a way, aligned with mining services, but not completely. Oh, Marcus Stent. So I did release a selling video for members. I do believe selling is one of the hardest things to do, or knowing when to sell. So I do set some rules for myself, which makes the process much easier. And I have no problem sleeping at night, even if a decision goes against me, because I know not every decision will go my way, but I expect 60% to go my way. So I never linger on any decision that doesn't go my way. So anyway, Marcus sent apparently took, I wouldn't say my advice, but watched my video. Absolutely awesome at 11 a.m. This is exactly what I was after. As usual, you articulate the answer extremely well. And I learned something important. I will be more patient, be more patient, be more patient, adjust my stop losses lower. If NEPI can hold tight, then so can I, even on the specky stocks. And then at 4:30 p.m., I had to put my new selling plan in place this afternoon as commodities tanked big time. I traded very calmly with my new selling plan, thanks to you, and sold 2 stocks that hit limits and held the rest. I will sleep well tonight. Appreciate your teachings and insights. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome. And funny enough, I was looking at one company in particular of selling, and that's Meeka Metals. It got very close to my sell price. In fact, it did fall below it, then recovered. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I should sell this now. And I'm sort of ruining that now because I have no doubt this will be a sell on Monday. Now, there's a chance that gold could rebound. And if gold rebounds, we might see a nice rebound in some of the gold companies. But for some reason, there's been a little bit of selling in Meeka Metals, and this could be a bit of a sell. So this is what I do every single day. I go through my charts just to see what companies are a possible sell or not sell. In fact, the ones that are not sell, for instance, the ones that are not sell, I don't linger on them too long, like Shape. Not even thinking about selling this one. Haven't thought about selling Shape for years. Well, since I started trading this one, the only time I thought about selling was, oh, the share price has decreased on the 29th of February. Oh, what's happening here? They went ex-dividend. That's not a selling reason. Down 12%. Imagine selling because it went ex-dividend. Now, it was a pretty nice dividend yield, and the dividend yield has not improved because the share price has gone up a lot. But if you have a look at this chart since then, even when the share price dove a little bit in April, it wasn't even a close to a sell. This is one of my favorite charts because I haven't even been thinking about it. Genesis Plus in the other case, was thinking about it. But I never got a sell signal and dropping below this orange line, which had been in place for a while. Anyway. Ben Hutchinson, now that I've completed my orders for EVZ, 25.5 cents, that was him. I can wholeheartedly agree. Yesterday's quality screams value, as you put it. There's obviously a seller about C action today, so more for a fundamentals or value investor than a short-term technical trade. I am in the same boat as Ben Hutchinson. I bought EVZ as more of a longer-term value play, not a trade for me at this point in time. And if the share price drops a little bit, there's value there. So I just like the value play for this one. Share price popped up, finished at or closed at 26 cents. Not much sellers, maybe liquidly traded as well, which is okay with me. I don't mind liquidly traded companies if I'm in it for the longer term. But this is more of a longer term trade or play for me, not a trade. So this is not in my trading portfolio. Oh, it might be, but I'm willing, put it this way, if it's in my trading portfolio, I can't remember if it is or not, I have a time frame that's much longer for some of my other trading positions. So I'm willing to be more patient with this one. More patient. And if I saw the share price, well, I bought at 22.5 cents. If I saw the share price drop to 20 cents, I'd probably be more willing to add to my position than sell. And that's because of value. Value is important. Hi, Neppy. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Say, I'd like to hear your thoughts on Meeka. Do you think that the last earnings was a tranquil event? I cannot see anything wrong with them, though. So this one is just, I think I've talked about Meeka a couple of times now in this video. And Meeka Metals, it's just the selling, it's not a tranquil event. It's just a little bit of selling in the company. Share price is still in an uptrend, but I think this has potential to be a sell for me just because I follow my rules and I have the sell price. I originally had it right there. I then lifted it to there and then I lifted it here. So I might leave it about there, but I do expect the share price to drop probably below 20 cents on Monday. So I could leave it there and go, hey, I think there might be a bounce with gold and gold stocks. So if I leave it at 18 cents, I'm willing to be a little more patient with that one. So let's leave it there. But Meeka Metals could be a sell. And I thought their quality was okay. Kelly Ma says, Bass Oil released their quarterly report. Quarterly sales up 7.9%. 2025 sale revenue 7 million. Market cap is 15 million. Is it value choice similar to EVZ? What are your thoughts on the BAS valuation? What are your charts on the chart of Orzorum? I talked about that one in yesterday's video. Orzorum was actually the second stock of the day, was it not? Yes, it was. Gold developed with a processing plant already secured. Easy to break out chart on Orzorum. I'll have a look at that chart in a second. Bass Oil, let's have a look at this one. They are a small oil producer, I suppose. Share price at 4.8. Share price went up a fair bit because I did a deal with, was it Origin? Yeah, Bass executes gas sales agreement with Origin. I took a trade and I've got out of that trade. And let's just have a look at their cash flow. So not a lot of cash receipts, and they are operating cash flow positive by $97,000. In fact, if you take away government grants and tax incentives, operating cash flow positive by $40,000, but free cash flow negative. So this is not close to EVZ, in my opinion. The reason I see value with EVZ is they are much more have much greater cash flow. So $4.3 million in operating cash flow, free cash flow positive by that same amount, have a fair bit of cash on hand, $18 million of cash in hand, and the company's valued as though it's, I think I talked about it, it's valued like it's nothing. Well, that's not true. So let's have a look at Bass in a little bit more detail. So they're still burning through cash because they're not free cash flow positive. Cash on hand went down from 1.36 million to 922,000. So they will need a cash injection. No debt. Oh, I was hoping estimated cause of funding would be below 2. It's 2.1, so they don't have to answer 8.8. I was hoping they need to answer 8.8, but they're not. So I'm not that interested in Bass Energy or Bass Oil at this point. The chart looked really good, or looked interesting anyway. When the share price popped up, share price has pulled back. Now, if the share price sort of stays at this level, goes sideways and starts to go up, I'd be more interested. Yeah, so for me, this was just get out and just wait to see what happens, because it might have found a bit of support around about 4.7 to 5 cents. Actually, the chart doesn't look half bad. I don't mind this chart. Okay. Nam says, how do you find companies like Xpon Technologies, XPN? So I took a trading position in Xpon. I can't remember why. And they had a pretty good Appendix 4C, but I'm a little bit wary because I don't think the next Appendix 4C is going to be anywhere as good. How did I find this company? Well, it's simple. They listed, it's a technology company. They listed back in 2021. Yep, December 2021. And the share price was above 20 cents at that point. And that's how I discovered the company, because they listed. And I put all these companies, all the listings. Actually, that's not true. I put all the non-mining exploring companies into a watch list called IPO. This company is full of companies that are IPO'd over the last few years. And if I have a closer look, I take them out. I don't know if XPN is in this watch list anymore. There's a lot here. I might have taken it out because I did have a closer look at it, and I know a little bit more about it. So that is actually how I discovered Xpon, is when they listed. Tech company, I put into my watch list. I put it alongside, is it X2M? So I always get these two companies mixed up. X2M Connect, if I remember correctly, they listed near the same time, and they've got similar charts as well. Both companies' share price have dropped a lot. X2M, nice volume, by the way, X2M, and XPN, Xpon. I do prefer this chart a little bit more. Beautiful consolidation period for Xpon Technologies. So that's how I discovered them, and then I just track them ever since then. Ever since they listed, I just track them, how they go every single quarter, And because I track them every single quarter, I get to know them a little bit more, not a lot more, just a little bit more. So I've been tracking Expon since they listed. Here we go. And receipts have been going up a little bit, but not a lot. This is the receipts history, yeah. So that's how I discovered them. Knowing what companies have listed and putting them into a watch list, and I pay attention to them. And to be honest with you, with the share price dropping a lot, I probably wouldn't have paid much attention to them. Does look like the liquidity has improved, however. Rogel Dawn says Bioxen and PLS reports look good, but got hit down by the market. Well, I'm assuming that Pilbara Minerals share price got pounded because of lithium. Lithium prices apparently fell 10% yesterday. So let's have a look. Pilbara. Yeah, so down 6.5%, 4.5%. So uptrend still intact, but 3 big down days in a row on heightened volume. Keep an eye on that one. Bioxen initially did get hit. I was a little bit confused by this one because I thought Bioxen's quality was actually quite good, but no real response from the market. I thought the quality was good. So I expect the share price to maybe break out, and it didn't. So that was a little bit of a surprise with Bioxen. Yeah, it looked good. I agree. It looked good. I haven't gone through Pilbara's report yet. In fact, I have it on my computer, on my other computer, to go through their presentation because I'm lazy. I've already talked about that. And finally, after 2 hours and 25 minutes, PDB Fund. Oh, yeah, 40 Medical. So I was talking about 40 Medical. Share price was actually up, I think, when I started talking about or doing the daily rundown. And then at the end of the day, I looked at 40 Medicals, what happened to the share price. It was down 7%. I was like, what the hell has happened? They received an ASX price query. So I had a quick look at it, and then I got really bored. Really bored with this one. Here it is at 2:55 p.m. And I got really bored with this one. It was something to do with, I don't ever remember now. Something to do with the Stanford University, blah, blah, blah. Bored almost immediately. And was it market sensitive or not? I forget exactly what. A lot of times when a company receives this sort of query, it doesn't really affect the share price, but that's the only explanation. In fact, if you have a look at the chart, it might be the explanation, but if you have a look at the chart, and we'll go to the 1 minute chart, the share price started to go down at 2:19 p.m., which is 3:19 p.m. So the company was trading for, so whenever a company receives one of those price queries, they get in suspension for a little bit. So they released it at 2:55 p.m. So that aligns with this time step right there. And then that was at 1:55 p.m. Brisbane time. So 2:55 p.m. Brisbane or Sydney time. No trading for 10 minutes or so. So it was 12 minutes, no trading. Share price actually went up a little bit after that. The share price plunged really occurred about 20 minutes later. So it doesn't exactly line with the ASX query. Or maybe it took a little bit of time for people to digest what was in the query, which I have not done yet. But a lot of selling, a lot of volume, massive increase in volume. I don't know, something happened at that time. So it could be related to the query. Maybe it just takes a little bit of time to go through it. I didn't even put into ChatGPT to break it down even further. But yeah, I found that weird that it didn't exactly align, but it has to do with something because look at the volume, massive increase in volume. If you have a look at the hourly chart, yeah, in the last hour of trading, just massive. The biggest volume the company has seen since 7th of January when the share price was up 6.92% in 1 hour at the beginning of trading on that day. And that is it for this video, the longest ever answer and reply video. Time is now currently midday, 11:56. If you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of the video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for the video. Have a good day. Bye.